Hello there from the arid desert around Joshua Tree, California. I'm out here today with an off-road oriented supercar. This is the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato, and right off the bat, I gotta say, this thing is better in most every way than I thought it could, would, or indeed should be. I gotta level with you. When I saw spy photos of this car a couple years ago, I did not have particularly high expectations. What, they're just gonna lift a Huracan and compromise everything and expect people to buy it? Surely this thing can't be good on road or off. And I was wrong, because this car executes on such a whimsical and, to be honest, largely untested vision. It just gets away with everything. So what is this that we're looking at? Well, it's a Lamborghini Huracan Evo that's just been made bigger and sillier. This thing is meant for everywhere you're not supposed to take a Lamborghini. This thing has had work done. We're looking at wider track, front and rear. We're looking at lengthened magnetic dampers. We're looking at another 44 millimeters of ground clearance. It's almost 7.5 inches under there. Underneath, you're looking at heavy gauge aluminum skid plating. And to top it all off, this thing is actually lengthened in the middle by almost a centimeter. That's no small task, not to mention on a vehicle of which only 1,499 units will be made. This is a finite special. This is the last of the all-internal combustion Lamborghinis, and they've actually gone really in-depth with it. So first off, this uses the titanium valved high-performance variant of the Huracan engine that was used in the STO. In that car, you're looking at 650 horsepower. In this car, for reasons that we're going to get back to, that's been dialed back to 601 horsepower. In addition to that, you're looking at 630 pound-feet of torque, routed again to both the front and rear. Up front, you're looking at a Haldex setup. In the rear, a traditional mechanical LSD that can't actually be controlled by the computer. Torque split depends on driving situation. It's totally fluid with no fixed figures. But first, before we get to play, we should see how it is on the way to the play. How is the Sterrato, this lifted, strange vehicle, on the road? Well, let's see. I love natural aspiration. Straight away, it is stunning just how pleasant this vehicle is. I'm on smooth tarmac now, but going through Joshua Tree, we were on some pretty coarse stuff. And really, this is not far off the ride you'd get in a Golf R. It's certainly not the smoothest or quietest, but there's very little wind noise, surprisingly limited tire and road noise, even from those coarse all-terrain tires. And it's honestly just comfortable, smooth, quiet, collected. Of course, then you get to it, and it makes proper noises. This is an outright V10 supercar. It is able to do some remarkable things, but from first impression, it also seems tremendously livable. You see, between that longer travel suspension, the extra 44 millimeters of ground clearance, and that extra inch of sidewall, you are able to go over so much without even realizing it. I've pulled U-turns in some pretty coarse lots in this. I've just ventured down gravel paths in Joshua Tree. Even with the little lift for speed bump mode in a McLaren, you could not do these things. As a road tripper, it's not something that I would worry about over uncertain surfaces. I don't feel the need to pick my route too carefully right now. I'm just going where the highway takes me, and we'll go over what we go over. Now, one of the big questions coming into this was how this supercar would handle on hard all-terrain tires with big mushy sidewalls. And honestly, they're no Trofeo Rs, but they do grip surprisingly well for what this vehicle is and does. W rating means they're good for 260 kilometers an hour, and I was honestly over-braking most of my corners. It seems a lot more confident and planted, even without getting the tires up to all that high a temperature. So look at these tires. You don't expect that you're going to get quite the noise that you would off of a set of KO2s, but they don't look quiet, and yet we're just cruising along. Also well managed is wind noise. Now, apparently consideration for that quiet, windless ride is part of the reason that this no longer has the light bar that we saw on the prototypes. That said, those roof rails are good for 175 pounds. You can put it back up there if you want. Just make sure you leave enough clearance for that air intake, because this thing no longer breathes from the side. Built to play around in the dirt, and with the front tires kicking up even more debris from ahead of those intakes, engineers found it simply untenable. That's why the Huracan Sterrato breathes through that roof intake up there. It is really cool, it looks awesome, and it means that all of the intake noise is from right there! With that being said, it does also limit the car's breathing somewhat, and that's why this thing is only good for 601 horsepower. Of course, you're not really going to notice that slight loss of power. If anything, you're going to notice the fact that you can't see shit back there. Per North American standards, this does have a center rear view mirror up here, and my first instinct getting in was to adjust it. There's no point. It's a joke. It's really funny. It does beg the question, why didn't Lamborghini invest in putting a digital mirror here? Because that would be really, really helpful. That said, you're probably going fast enough that you can get away with it. So on the road then, we've seen that this does excel. Lamborghini's extensive attention to chassis dynamics has paid off in what is a nimble and sporty touring ride. But the real fun is around the corner, because we're arriving at Chuckwalla Raceway and we're about to hit the track and then venture off. So on the road then, a very capable and comfortable car. Those W-rated tires let you go fast, and it goes fast. Here now at Chuckwalla Raceway, we've got something different to test, because I am looking out at a rallycross course. Half of this track is on tarmac. Other half of the setup is in the dirt. So an editing confession, I am actually in between heats right now. I just ran a bunch of laps out there. I'm waiting for my turn to get back out there for some more. But I've already got some very clear impressions of this car, because man, does it make an impression hard and fast. See, this is not a car that I thought should be able to handle this. Now, the argument here would be that a road-going car that's built to set Nürburgring records as the Performante should be able to handle some pretty significant forces, and it does that well, hitting washboards, running from the tarmac straight into the dirt. This thing doesn't even blink. Yes, of course, you can hit a bit of a bang if you overdo it and bang one of those bump stops, but you do have enough skid plating underneath that you should be safe for the mild, smooth gravel surfaces that you're meant to use this car on. A big part of that character is these tires with their 40 aspect sidewalls. It is actually just enough that you are able to bang this through a lot of stuff. We've got some pretty sizable stones here too, and the car has not complained. Of course, all-terrain tires are not going to be setting any lap records, but that's also not really the point of this. You don't need that. These are not R comps, and if anything, I honestly had more fun on these than I have on a lot of sticky stuff, because on the tarmac, even at temperature, these fellas are slippy. And thanks to the advanced traction management in this that does such an intuitive job of keeping you on course, letting you play with it, forcing it out even, but without ever feeling like it's overdoing or nannying you, it just makes it so easy to huck this, to get it sideways. It will break traction and oversteer for you in the best ways. I am enjoying it so much. Bang through the dirt, and the deep cleats in here will kick up a lot. So much, in fact, that someone has filled this side here, and you can even kick dirt up into this side intake. The roof scoop was the Lamborghini engineering team's solution, and it's fine. 600 horsepower is no small figure. That is so much horsepower. It sounds so great. It responds with that naturally aspirated linearity. It's just magnificent, guys. Pulling back onto the tarmac, you do have to give it a bit of a shake just to get the debris out of those wheels. But once you do, it just gets right back on the ball. This thing pulls so hard. That's 3.4 second acceleration. You're going so quick, and with that torque vectoring, you're able just to feel like a hero right away. The chief technical officer on this car tells me that my personal halo car, the Lancia Stratos, was part of the inspiration for this. This is a tail-happy plaything. And then once you've had your play, you've still got the 15 and 14-inch carbon ceramic brakes that you would normally get on a Huracan to bring you back down to a stop. Now, of course, you could raise some questions about how those are going to endure getting beat on by rocks. And yeah, but you're also spending this much on a car. Except you're not, because apparently they are all sold, which is in no way a surprise. All I can hope is that some of these owners do indeed beat the daylights out of these, because my God, this car is important. You see, coming from the Toyota GR Corolla recently, which of course is not the same bracket, I have been very firm in my thoughts that we are well overdue for a shift from hyper-fast cars to hyper fun cars. We know that lap records are crazy. Cars are super impossibly fast now. I know they're gonna keep getting faster, but it doesn't feel like that should be possible. And really, us mortals can't do that. We can't touch those ceilings. Something like this, we can chuck sideways at safe speeds and have fun. So what do we make of this then? Well, first off, just my disappointment that Lamborghini's only doing 1,500, because we need more of this. We need more outright joy. If it's any consolation though, this has shown us that Lamborghini can take an unconventional product brief and execute really friggin' well. I am utterly enthralled with this. Between this, the Dakar, the GR Corolla, I really hope that we are looking at a renaissance of fun, silly, just absurd cars. The future is looking bright for enthusiasts, and folks, I just cannot tell you how stoked I am to be getting back into this car in just a few minutes' time. For Driving.ca, I'm Al Alder. For more supercars news, reviews, and all the rest, be sure to follow us online on Driving.ca and check out our socials over on Instagram and Twitter. Silly, stupid, wonderful car.